Correction, welcome to another edition of 49ers Live tonight here in San Francisco, here at the Satellite Digital Media Studios. Professor B here will be here for a little bit. We'll give you on right here on Niners Radio 49 as 49ers getting ready to take on the Green Bay Packers. They already had their practices, their Friday preparations, and they're, of course, the big developing news story late this afternoon today. It has been confirmed both Brock Purdy and Nick Bosa both have been ruled out for this Sunday's game in the must-win game for San Francisco as the 49ers try to get back on track after losing that heartbreaker out at the Mecca last Sunday afternoon over in Santa Clara against this divisional rival Seattle Seahawks, and Niners sitting there at 5-5. So we got a lot going on tonight. We're going to here on Niners Radio 49, catching us live on StreamYard. The StreamYard. Just a reminder, we will be out for this Sunday. The 49ers will be out at the Gold Bar Distillery Gold Rush Tour. 49ers Packers will have a huge indoor in-screen. Get a chance to meet Sourdough Sam, the DJ, food and drinks, and so much more. As Antonio Varlo will be emceeing. Yours truly will be out there out there this Sunday, and this will be from noon till 5 p.m. 5 o'clock at the Gold Bar Distillery, 1 Avenue on the Palms of San Francisco. That's out there in Treasure Island. So if you're coming from the city, uh, you're going to be taking the Bay Bridge, heading eastbound. You go off at the Yerba Buena Treasure Island exit. Then after that, then you go down to Treasure Island where you can park, and that's where we'll be having the big Gold Rush Tour party, watch party, Niners and Packers, and that's going to be a great event. Great event. Niners are on the road for the next 2 Sundays as the Niners hopefully to get back on track. If they're going to be, as the Niners sit right now in 10th for the outside looking into the playoffs for your defending NFC champions. So we're going to take a look what Kyle Shanahan said in his final press conference before they took off. And the video footage is courtesy of 49ers.com. And it's I don't own the copyrights. It's just for educational purposes only. We'll just to show you share a little bit of the rolling clips from what Kyle Shanahan said in his presser earlier in the day. Then after that, we will have our behind the enemy segment. We got a chance to hook up with longtime Green Bay Packers announcer, play-by-play man, uh, Wayne LaVerry. He also once upon a time. We'll talk about the Niners and Packers and his thoughts of the Niners season in the Green Bay, and then we're gonna have a good show tonight on this Friday night. So, without further ado, we're gonna show you coming up. Will be Kyle Shanahan's presser and his thoughts earlier in the day. Videos courtesy of 49ers.com. So, Professor B, we're here at Satellite Digital Media Studios. We'll take this quick time out. You're watching 49ers Live tonight with yours truly, Professor B, on Niners Radio 49. All right, we're about to give you Kyle Shanahan's final press conference, his presser and the injury update, and which that begins right now.
Jacob Cowing out, Tatum Bethune out, Kevin Givens out, Nick Bosa out, Brock Purdy out, Trent Williams questionable, Feliciano questionable. Go ahead.
Is there any development with Brock's shoulder where it got downgraded during the week, and is there long-term concern for it?
I don't want to say there's long-term concern. We got the MRI on Monday. We thought he just needed some rest and really weren't concerned about him not being good this week. But when he started up Thursday, just surprised him, surprised us how it felt. So we had to shut him down, and so I really don't know what to think of it. The MRI doesn't look like that, so it should be all right. But the way it responded this week, it's really up in the air for next week. So we'll have to see on Monday.
Did it happen on the touchdown run?
He doesn't know in particular. I don't think so, but he can remember a play that specifically happened on.
Things where, as time went on, it just started to bother him.
This was complaining about how tight it was throughout the game, and it started happening throughout the game. That's why he was warming up just a lot more than usual. He said he had a hard time keeping it loose, and then after the game is when it really started to hurt, and then Monday morning is really why he had to go get an MRI for it.
Will Brandon Allen start?
Yes.
What do you like about Brandon?
I think Brandon's a really good thrower, runs our offense well. He's done a really good job since he's been here. Been here 2 years now, and guys believe in him, and believe he'll give us a good chance to win.
Well, it's one of the positives about Brandon that the offense doesn't change very much with him in there, that he's like Purdy in a lot of ways, that you don't really skip a beat.
There's not a big game plan adjustment. It wasn't. This is something that we didn't think would happen early in the week, so we were fully preparing for Brock to go, and getting a little surprised about this on yesterday. Nothing has to change, so that's a good deal for us.
Without Purdy, without Bosa, the situation, obviously doesn't look great. It's the NFL. Everyone, will say, "Oh gosh, you guys have no chance," but more crazier things have happened. I guess, what is your message to the team when you face this kind of adversity?
I think we've had a real good week of practice. I know it's disappointing. We knew there was a chance for Nick. I think the guys were a little surprised with Brock yesterday, but we addressed all that today, and we're going to have 48 guys in uniform, and I know our guys believe in themselves. I believe in them. We're missing 2 good players, definitely, but we got a lot of good players out there, so by no means do you not have a chance to win. So we're going to go fight our tails off and expect this to be a real good game.
With Mooney, you just needed some more time to kind of...
just taking 3 full weeks off. It's not like dealing with all that stuff. He's getting workouts in or anything like that. So we were just happy to get him back in the building this week. We didn't want to put any pressure on him by any means to get ready to play. He just wanted to get back into the field. He had 2.5 good days of practice. I say half just because of what today's like. But hopefully he'll be good to go next week.
Has Trent showed progress, or is it still right up to kickoff?
No, still right up to kickoff.
You went through 3 quarterbacks a couple of years ago and still made the NFC Championship. Give the team hope, knowing that you've been through this kind of adversity before?
I don't think they look at it that way. It's good to have that story and stuff, but I think why they have hope is because they're with Brandon every single day. So, I know outside of here people haven't seen a lot of Brandon because he hasn't had to go in yet, but this is
Kyle Shanahan, just a little bit of a brief presser on that piece because we want to try to respect the we're not just because of the copyright we're not stealing anything or just a little rolling fudge what we heard from Kyle Shanahan early in the day as the Niners getting ready to take on the Green Bay Packers for this important game. The Niners shot themselves in this foot now, and now it's starting to, with the losses now piling up. They're, 1-3 in the division, 3-4 overall in conference, and this is a must-win game for the 49ers. And coming up next, we're going to have this timeout. We're going to have my special guest on Niners Radio tonight. It's Behind the Enemy Lines, talking with a veteran broadcaster. He's been doing this for a very long time. He started off with the Kansas City Chiefs, worked with the Chiefs Radio Network from 1978 through 1984. And did you know the man who would succeed when Wayne LeVere then left the Chiefs to go to Chicago to do the Chicago Bears, and that run they had towards their Super Bowl win in 1985, almost 40 years ago, 39 years ago. And the man we look at, or the man he ended up replacing during the Chiefs radio network was a very young Kevin Harlan, who would later Kevin Harlan would run would replace him on the Chiefs radio network, and he would pair up, of course, with the late Chiefs quarterback legend, the late Len Dawson. So you're going to like this interview coming up. This upcoming interview, or I did to him early in the day on our 49ers Behind the Enemy segment. So we're going to, right now, we're going to get ready to share you that interview coming up in just a few moments. Professor B here. You're watching 49ers Live tonight on Niners Radio 49. Radio 49 here in San Francisco, a Satellite Digital Media podcast, and our special guest here. He's the voice of the Green Bay Packers. This is his 25 years, year number 26. In fact, he once upon a time was the voice of the Chicago Bears, doing the Mike Ditka, Jim McMahon, Walter Payton, the Fridge, and Dan Hampton, Mike Singletary era back in the late 80s. The voice of the Green Bay Packers. You can hear him on the Packers radio network. Wayne Larrivee, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Doing good. So it has been about 9 months. 9 months since the last we talked. Of course, it was a divisional playoff game. The Niners and Packers. The rivalry renewed. That these two teams hooking up for the regular season. It's going to be the late game window. 1:25 p.m. kickoff time, and the 1:25 and 3:25 Central Time for any of the 49er faithful traveling to Green Bay or lived in that area or in the Midwest. That will be on Fox Sports. Wayne LeVere, the voice of the Packers on the Packers radio network. Tell us what your radio station for the Packers radio network flagship.
Oh, I don't know. There are about 50 of them. But the flagship station's 97.3 The Game in Milwaukee.
Okay, that's the main, and that's where all the Packers. And for people who don't know, Green Bay and Milwaukee's kind of far apart. That's a drive, a long way, I guess.
It's about 2 hours at most. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, and I know for if you drive from Chicago to Milwaukee, that's about an hour and a half.
Yeah. It's about the same from Milwaukee to Green Bay.
All right, so we're gonna preview 49ers and Packers. This is two teams in sort of opposite directions. The Niners are defending NFC champions right now at 5-5. The Green Bay Packers at 7-3. They have a 2-game lead over the 49ers. Coming off that win against the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field, they have now beaten the Bears, I believe, 11 in a row. I think they've beaten them 15 out of 16, 15 out of 17 games. They have given the Bears problems over the years.
Yeah, they've kind of owned them recently, especially. No one in that long series had ever won 11 in a row until the Packers last Sunday. And, that was they were fortunate to get that win. They needed a blocked field goal in the final seconds to win the game, but they got it done.
Yep, and of course, you spent. I never got a chance to touch on this. You were once upon a time. People forget you were the voice of Chicago Bears back during that time with Mike Ditka and the Bears, the Super Bowl shuffle teams, mid '80s, where the Bears, of course, were the class of the NFC Central Division, winning 5 consecutive NFC Central titles. In fact, I believe from 19, they went to 8 playoff appearances in a 9-year period between 84 through 91. And you guys share me some of your memories of the time being on the enemy's side, being a play-by-play for the Chicago Bears.
Oh, the 80s were great into the early 90s. And then the Bears, they had those dominant teams from about 1984 through, I'd say, about 1992. And then they let Ditka go, and the team kind of fell apart after that. And Dave Wanstead came in, had a couple of good years. He's a defensive coordinator for Jimmy Johnson down in Dallas. He came in, did a nice job with the team, but, they could not sustain anything as far as winning goes. And, they've been in and out ever since. Their best stretch was with Lovie Smith. He took them to a couple of NFC title games and a Super Bowl, but they were never able to win it. So it's been a long haul for the Bears.
Well, if they could put back in perspective, after Mike Ditka left, from the time or between Mike Ditka and Lovie Smith, in perspective, when the Bears only had made 1 playoff appearance after Ditka's departure after the 92 season, and then after when Lovie Smith, they went to the Super Bowl in 06, the Bears have only made the playoffs only twice, and probably in the last 12 years. In fact, the Bears have only made the playoffs, I think, only 6 times since 1994. That just shows you how things, because once the Packers got good, that's when the Packers, Brett Favre and them, really dominated them.
Oh, yeah. The last 30 years, the Packers have dominated the Bears and turned what was a lopsided series in favor of Chicago in favor of Green Bay. And, somebody asked me last week what the difference is between the two organizations over the last 30 years. And I say 1 position, quarterback. That's the difference.
Amen. That's right. And the names you can say is Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and now Jordan Love.
Yep.
So, yeah, and there've been some great games. I remember as a kid, Bears and Packers, Refrigerator scoring a touchdown, and then they came because the Packers in the mid '80s, that was a stretch. They went through a lot of lean years. While the Bears had that stranglehold with the NFC Central, and not to mention the fact the Minnesota Vikings really started to come up strong in the late '80s with the veteran quarterback by committee, Tommy Kramer and Wade Wilson, and then you had that defense with the late Chris Dolan and Keith Millard, and then former USC safety Joey Browner, and then you bring in Herschel Walker in that blockbuster trade from Dallas in '89 to complement that offense with a solid top-ranked defense, and they ended up giving up a king's ransom to Dallas, which was a king's ransom. They end up getting a king's ransom, which ended up backfiring on the Vikings in the really for the long haul.
Yeah, you talk about the Herschel Walker deal?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that was tough. That kind of put them behind the 8 ball, but they're a good organization, and they're always competitive, it seems like, every year in one form or another. So, but the division has never been stronger than it is right now. All 4 teams are good teams that you have to play well to beat. And I know the Bears have struggled a little bit lately, but They have a lot of good players and a good football team, and Detroit's the best team in football, and it's not even close.
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing either them or Buffalo, one of those two teams who their fans have suffered for so many years, see them win a Super Bowl. I mean, Detroit Lions best record in the NFC. They may be the best team in all of football. They, played the Niners tough in the NFC Championship game last year out here in the Bay Area. And, they're going to have, it's the first time in quite some time that they're going to have a meaningful Thanksgiving game next Thursday with a lot on the line. And I Detroit, they got some great loyal fans though out there in Motown.
Oh yeah, and they're getting rewarded now with this team. That's for sure.
Yeah, and then let's also talk about this game tonight, coming up Sunday, Niners and Bears, or the Niners and the Packers. The Bears will come and play San Francisco in 2 weeks from this Sunday in Santa Clara. But the Niners and Packers, the rivalry continues. It was Steve Young, Brett Favre, then it was Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick, and Aaron Rodgers. And then it's now it's Brock Purdy and Jordan Love. I mean, we could sit here for hours rekindling, reminiscing the Niner Packer rivalry like a novel Wikipedia telephone white or yellow pages phone book.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But it's become a great rivalry over the last 30 years, really, since the Holmgren Packers and Favre and Reggie White and those guys, as you pointed out, and now into this different era with Aaron Rodgers and now Jordan Love. So, and there's an interesting coaching matchup between Matt LaFleur and Kyle Shanahan. Matt learned under Kyle Shanahan and considers him somewhat of a mentor in his career. So there's a lot to this series. There's a lot of richness to this series. And although these teams don't play every year because they're not in the same division, it seems like they played every year because they meet in the playoffs if they don't meet in the regular season.
Yep, and there is a lot of history. It's almost like Mike Holmgren sort of partial 2.0 because they know each other. The system that they all came through in the Washington Redskins or with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and not to mention Raheem Morris with the job he's doing down in Atlanta.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the coaching tree now that's hot. In the 80s, it was all about Bill Walsh, and then you've had Belichick kind of dominating after that, and now you've got this new Shanahan group that is taking over the NFL.
Yep, and I saw some on Facebook. A lot of snow hitting in Green Bay. It hit the temperatures is going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty cold for a late Sunday afternoon in Wisconsin.
It's only supposed to be in the 40s. That's not considered cold around.
Not bad. Right. That's not bad. Right. But the last time the Niners did play the Packers, the first time since against the Packers in their since 2012, including the postseason. And the Niners have played well there in recent times. They've won 3 of their last 4, including those playoff wins in 13 in 3 years ago in 21. So the Niners have had a share of success there. I think that's a game I think Packer fans like to forget because the block punt that set up that touchdown to tie it, which ended up was the difference. The special teams that dictated that ended up was the difference of the Niners winning that playoff game, advanced to the NFC Championship.
Yeah, well, I hope both teams. I would imagine both teams they hope it doesn't come down to special teams. The Niners have struggled big time there this year. The Packers, over the course of a number of years, have had issues on special teams. But it's interesting that the difference in the teams' records now have a lot to do with, close games. The Niners have struggled in close one-possession games this year. But the Packers have won those games, and including their last 3 wins have come on the final play of the game, each one of those wins. So, the NFL season, the way you go in an NFL season has a lot to do with what you do in close games, one-possession games, and that often determines what kind of a year you have.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, and then also a lot has changed. The Niners have just been decimated by injuries. They lose their top receiver. Brandon Ayuk is out for the year with a torn Achilles. Christian McCaffrey came back following the bye week against Seattle, or came back. So
Came
a
back at
lot's
Tampa and he played at Seattle, and he's played 2 games. He looks really good to me. I think he's got fresh legs. He adds a lot to their offense. You're right. They miss people. Ayuk never played very well this year after the holdout, and
no.
But the fact that he's not on the field is a big loss for them. There's no doubt about that. They lost their offensive right guard, although I think Dominic Puni has gone in and done a great job for them. But on defense, they've lost 3 people, 3 key starters, I think, from each level of that defense. Hargrave on the defensive line, Greenlaw and linebacker, and then Hufanga Talanova from the secondary. Those are the guys. That's really where they're not quite the defense they were a year ago, and they couldn't be because they've lost 3 key members of that defense.
Well, you lose Greenlaw, and Greenlaw was lost. Well, he tore his Achilles on a freak during the Super Bowl, and it hasn't been played since. We don't know what's these next couple weeks to determine if the Niners are in it. They'll bring him back, or if not, they may just, if the Niners are not going to make the playoffs, they may just shut him down, sit out a year. But that's a huge loss for them, and that was the reason. If Greenlaw doesn't tear his Achilles in that Super Bowl, the Niners are going to win that Super Bowl against Kansas City.
Well, the Niners should have won that Super Bowl against Kansas City. They had the game. They're leading by 3. They let the Chiefs off the hook. The game got tied at the end of regulation, and the Chiefs won it in overtime. And that's part of the reason why the Niners are where they are today. Even with all those guys back, you lose a game like that, it rips your heart out. And it takes more to come back from a game like that. I saw that happen to the Packers when they lost the NFC Championship game in Seattle. Lost it. It took a good 7 years before they were back to where they were a Super Bowl caliber team. And it takes time. And, I don't care what anybody says, these injuries, the holdouts, San Francisco's had nothing but issues since that Super Bowl. And I admire the way they've come through the way they have. They're 5-5. They should have beaten Seattle last week. 6-4 would be a much better situation for them. But I still think, regardless of what happens this weekend in Green Bay, that somehow, some way, the San Francisco 49ers is going to find a way into the playoffs, and somebody's going to have to deal with them in January.
I agree. It's just, it's just like, when you lose a Super, they lost that, and they led in overtime. And the 2 Super Bowl losses under Kyle's time was they were led in either the fourth quarter or in overtime and lost it. And they were just one stop away, one sack, one takeaway, good stop away from winning that 6th Super Bowl. And things could been different. We may have been talking a different story if that had happened. But you can't erase that time, and you just But the Niners, they're only a game back behind the Cardinals, but they could easily have at least a 2-game lead ahead of the rest of the pack if they didn't give that game away against Arizona, or they win last week against Seattle, and they're 1-3, and then they gave that game away against the Rams, where they're 1-3 lose by a total of, I think, by at least 4 points or less.
Well, and that's kind of the pro sports is all about edges, and you play on an edge. And, when it's your year, you have to win it. It was their year last year. They were the best team of the league last year, and they didn't get it done. And they didn't get it done in heartbreaking fashion. There's an emotion to this game. These aren't video game cards or Stratomatic cards. These players, this is flesh and blood we're talking about. The fact that you played so well one year doesn't mean you're going to play well the next year. Everybody has a quick window in this league, except a couple of exceptions. The Belichick Patriots with Brady and the Andy Reid Patrick Mahomes,
Kansas City Chiefs, yeah.
they are outliers. They are not the way it really is for everyone else. Everyone else gets their opportunity. That was Kyle Shanahan's opportunity last year. They built for that. They were the best team in the league. They didn't get it done, and they are suffering for it right now. The Detroit Lions, this is their year. They are, by any metric, the best team in the league, and it's not even close. They must win the Super Bowl this year. If they don't, it will affect them for years to come, and they probably won't get back.
That's the sad finality, Wayne, because I'm gonna get off a little bit topic. I'll use the 1985 St. Louis Cardinals as an example. When they had the best record in baseball in '85, they won 101 games. They edged out the New York Mets, the runner-up, the team who would go on to win it all in '86 by 3 games. They come from behind, down 2-0 against the Dodgers in that memorable National League Championship Series. They lose the first 2 on the road in Los Angeles. They sweep the middle series at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. This is when Whitey Herzog, rest in peace, the White Rat, Ozzie Smith's dramatic homer in Game 5. They go up 3-2, going back to Dodger Stadium. Dodgers look like they're about to win it and force a decisive 7th game. Jack Clark with runners at first and second with 2 outs, or second and third with 2 outs, hit that Tom Meeker fastball over for a 3-run homer. The Cardinals win that game. Remember, they were up 3-1 against the Royals in the I-70 World Series. They lose the heartbreaker, the Don Dinkinger play at first base. The Royals scored twice in the bottom of the 9th. They win Game 6, 2-1. The Cardinals were like 90-something-0 when leading after 8 innings. And then the next night, you have Brett Saberhagen shuts them out. They blow out the Royals, a team who was like dead last or next to last in every offensive category in the American League, blows the Cardinals off, who had the best offense in the National League, 11-0. And the way they lost that series had a major effect in '86 when the Mets, who end up handling them early that year when they swept that big 4-game series at Busch Stadium in '86. Similar parallels what the 49ers are going through right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and teams go through this, and, it's hard to get that window open. You bring everybody back. You hope everybody can get back on the same page, but there are no guarantees.
No.
That, I mean, Nick Bosa might sack the quarterback 14 times one year, and the next year he might be scratching to get 8 or 9. It's just the way things go. It's really, when it involves flesh and blood, the only thing consistent about flesh and blood is its inconsistency. So that's kind of where you are in sports. That's why this NFL thing week to week is such a hard league to get a handle on. The Chicago Bears last week played a game against the Packers. We had watched, we study when we prepare for a game, the previous 3 games of an opponent, and we saw nothing. That the Bears showed us nothing of those 3 previous games when they played that game last week in Chicago. They played lights out. They should have won the game. Really, they had the game won. But, it's just that's the thing. Week to week, these athletes, these teams, just because you had a great game the week before doesn't mean you're going to play that well the next week. In fact, you probably aren't.
Right. It's like every year is different, 1 year you're going to have good same thing with college programs. They could in my personal perspective, Wayne, I mean, like I was doing play-by-play for University of San Francisco baseball. There was some issues that went down with the program. An assistant was fired because of inappropriate behavior. I'm not going to get into full details. And that team was picked to go to a regional, go to win the conference and go to a regional. And then, unfortunately, the coach, who was my mentor, ended up getting fired. Was fired, and it was a lot of issues that he was a scapegoat, and now we're fighting his case to get him exonerated. But the point is, it had a major effect with that program, with the players in the early part of that 22 season, and then after the distractions and all of that. And you hit it on the point, right on the button, Wayne. It will have a lingering effect of inconsistency because of something off field with a front office or athletic department. Doesn't matter either in college or in pro level. Had a major effect, and they were able to go to the WCC tournament, but they had to fight to get to the knockout round, and they were one and done by San Diego, who ended up winning the conference tournament. But I went through. It had a major ever since my mentor, Coach Giarratana, left that program after they forced him out. As they got a new coach in there, a lot of players after the 22 season end up going through the transfer portal, and then more players left because they got the new guy in there. Will's not like, I'm not going to mention his name. But they end up finishing dead. When that window is closed, and that puts it.
Think they're a member. They weren't quite at that same. Could have beaten them, and then they get to the Super Bowl and they play better against the Chiefs, and then let it go in overtime. Seven-game series in the postseason. It's a
No,
one
it's
in
one.
2011. Get knocked out in the playoffs in the first day against the New York Giants. So nothing's guaranteed, and you better be good each day in the playoffs, or you're going to be gone. And I don't care how good you are. I don't care if it's your year or not. And the Niners, to their credit, got to the Super Bowl, but in the end, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, again, that's just a very special dynasty that's going. Brady and the Patriots were like that. Jordan and the Bulls. There are certain things that happen, certain teams that come about that defy all of these.
The Showtime Lakers of the '80s. Magic Johnson, my favorite basketball player in the '80s. But that's and like I said. We're having some technical issues. Please stand by.
In the end, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, again, that's just this very special dynasty that's going. Brady and the Patriots were like that. Jordan and the Bulls. There are certain things that happen, certain teams that come about that defy all of these.
Showtime Lakers of the '80s. Magic Johnson, my favorite basketball player growing up, and they had their battles with the Celtics in the '80s. But that's and like I said, losses like that. Like I would tell a lot of people, like the '86 Cardinals were hit by so many injuries while their rival Mets just beat them to a pulp, and you lose. And they were for a while was like dead last in every offensive category in the National League. And then they had a respectable second half, but the bad start and plus with some of the injuries they had and guys not having their same productive years really was too much for them to overcome.
Well, we've talked a lot about anything but the 49ers and Packers this weekend. What do you think? What's the feeling out there in San Francisco?
Well, after that loss last week, doing my post game over at the Hyatt Regency or at Santa Clara, right across the street from the stadium, it was pretty quiet over where I do my post game. And, it looked very, right now, I've just got to say, you got to just take them at least one game at a time from this point going forward. They get the Packers this week, and then the next week, they got to go to Buffalo up in the Bills. They could end that 31-year drought of maybe getting to the Super Bowl for the first time in more than 3 decades.
Yeah, this is a crucial stretch for the 49ers. That's what makes Green Bay so important for them, in that they absolutely got to have this game. They should have beaten Seattle. It's a game that was important. They needed to win that game, but this game is crucial this weekend in Green Bay because the trip to Buffalo is not going to be easy. God only knows what the weather will be that night up there, but it's going to be tough. And if the Niners go to the Packers can put a nail in the Niners' coffin this weekend. Buffalo can finish it off next week if the Niners lose both of these games. But if they split these 2 games, I still think some way they find a way into the playoffs. I really do.
I think so too, Wayne. Just like I say, I take them one game at a time. It's just that burden of and for Kyle Shanahan, a lot of people have just blasted him, the media and some of the fans. Can't win the big one. They should fire Kyle. I don't agree with it at all. I think Kyle's a good head coach. I know he has his challenges in the fourth quarter. You just don't see a coach like that. I know he's been undermanned with all the injuries. I mean, Nick Bosa may not play, and then Brock Purdy having an MRI on his shoulder. His status is uncertain. I'm going to have a full show later on today and about that, though, too, that them going forward.
Yeah, did Purdy practice today?
I don't know. I have not. I'm not down at Santa Clara. I just get all the information from my source So, I only heard he got an MRI. He left practice. He didn't even talk to the media yesterday. So we're just uh-oh. We are experiencing some technical difficulties. Yeah, we are experiencing some technical difficulties. Please stand by. Here we go, Lane. Just 1 second. So we had a little technical problem. Apologize for that. I'm gonna talking with Wayne Laverty, the voice of the Packers. We apologize for that technical difficulties. Our Wi-Fi. We're getting a lot of rain here in the Bay Area. So, what's your final outlook for this Sunday's game?
Weather-wise,
Yes, or for the game overall, both.
it's supposed to be in the 40s, fairly light winds. Not bad. It should be a good night for football, good late afternoon for football. Big game both ways. I think the Packers are in a situation where they feel like this is a chance for them to get a little bit of revenge for the loss in the playoffs a year ago. But, let's be honest, this is huge for both teams. The Packers are trying to stay in that race in the NFC North. It's the best division in football and trying to keep their playoff hopes alive, just as the Niners are. And the goals are similar for both teams.
Yep, that's good. This is a big game. This is a big game for both teams. And, hopefully the Niners can try to get back on track because, and I know they're still, that's what they're going to have to do. Hey, Wayne, I'm going to let you go. And thank you for joining us, and hope we catch you again somewhere down the road, though. Thank you. And you and your family have a very happy Thanksgiving and holidays.
Same to you. Take care.
All right. Catch you soon, Wayne. All right. That's Wayne Laverty, the voice of the Green Bay Packers, 49ers, and 9 p.m. is the kickoff. That you can see that. All right, we continuing from Niners Radio 49ers Live tonight. Professor B here at the Satellite Digital Media Studios here in San Francisco, here on Niners Radio 49. A great chance to talk with the voice of the Green Bay Packers, Wayne Laverty. 95.7 The Fan in Milwaukee is the Packers' main flagship station. So Coming up next on Niners Radio 49, we are going to have our 49er flashback. We're going to celebrate the 30-year anniversary of the 49ers' last Super Bowl victory. And we're going to go back to week number 12, the 49ers taking on the Los Angeles Rams in an important divisional game, as now we're getting into that late November range. And this was we will show you that highlight just a moment. The video, the footage is courtesy from NFL Films, and this is part of the 49ers 1994 Super Bowl season. We'll show you just a few minute clip. We don't want to show you the whole thing. It's like I said, I don't own any copyrights for this. It's for educational purposes is the thing we trying to, you know. So we'll go back to the 4 season with the 49ers. That was their Super Bowl season 30 years ago. So we will take a look back at that game. We'll give you a full recap and it'll be a full recap of week number 12, the 12th week of the 1994 season. The 49ers taking on and that would be for week number 12, the 12th week from November 20th, 1984, exactly 30 years ago this week. So the 49ers, of course, the previous week were coming off their 21-14 win against the two-time defending Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys at Candlestick Park. And both the Niners and Cowboys are tied for the best record in the NFC. The Niners, who came in there one game back, now moves ahead of Dallas because of their head-to-head victory. If the season stopped right there, the Niners would have the top seed in the NFC playoffs. So we'll take a look back of the the 12th week of the NFL season from 1994, and the LA Rams, and that segment presented by Football.bd. So we'll take a look of what happened in week number 12, and we will get you ready. And then in our final segment, we'll take a look back of 49ers Tailgate. If you missed it, we'll show you the full show in its entirety. But first, we're going to take this quick time out, and then when we wrap this little brief time out, we'll take a look back of 49ers Niners Radio flashback from the 1994 season, Niners and Rams highlight from November the 20th, 1994. So let's go take this quick time out. You are watching 49ers Live tonight with Professor B on Niners Radio 49. We'll be right back.
And, Los Angeles Ram Club, that'll be difficult for us, but right now we got to enjoy this moment.
In what would be the last meeting in their 44-year-old West Coast rivalry, the Rams and Niners staged a
place at the club that'll be difficult for us, but right now we got to enjoy this moment.
In what would be the last meeting in their 44-year-old West Coast rivalry, the Rams and Niners staged a classic with Jerry Rice playing his usual starring role.
The quick pass left flat. Rice might get there for 135. Yes! He walked in with a Ram draped on his back. Todd Light.
The upstart Rams stormed to a 27-24 fourth quarter lead and threatened to steal a victory until the last minutes of play when Rice rallied the troops with his third touchdown catch of the evening.
Taylor to the left, Waters to the right. Young to throw. Quick slant in. Jerry Rice. End zone. Touchdown 49ers.
What a night for Jerry Rice. 16th reception of the night. That's a new team record, a new personal record.
The following week in
All right, that was a great footage from back in our flashback segment from week number 12 in the 1994 season. The 49ers with a big win against the LA Rams at Candlestick Park. That was a Sunday night ESPN game. And my recollections of that game, I remember very well. Jerry Rice had another great night. He always have killed the LA Rams over the years on the big of that rivalry, which and the Niners with a big win as they defeat the Rams, and then they had to earn that win. I remember Deion Sanders breaking up a pass. I don't remember if it was Isaac Bruce or the veteran Flipper Anderson in that fourth quarter. The Rams had that lead, and the Niners end up holding off that win, breaking up a pass. Rams were leading the fourth quarter, and Deion Sanders really saved the game, breaking that pass up in the end zone. Because if he doesn't make that play, the Rams, he saved the win, saved the game, and preventing the Rams from giving the Rams the W that night, or pulling off the upset. And the Niners had to win this game because now they've already had put distance on themselves in the NFC West, but to stay afloat for the Cowboys for the top spot in the NFC. So we are now going to go into our next segment on Satellite Digital Media. We will go in our Satellite Digital Media. We are going to go into our scoreboard. So and so we're trying to find the one from week. Here we go. So we're looking back at that highlight from 1994. Niners were winners from that Sunday night at Candlestick of the big Week 12 victory. As there it went. So the Niners go on the win, holding on to eke out a win against the Rams and maintain the top spot in the NFC. So we are going to go into our week number 12 scoreboard. And give you the score around the NFL for week number 12. So that's going to do it for tonight for 49ers, for Niners Radio 40, for 49ers Live tonight. Professor B, we wish all of you who enjoyed the show tonight, recapping the podcast. Glad you guys enjoyed that interview with Wayne LaVerry I did earlier in the day. If you want to watch a replay of this interview I did with Packers play-by-play announcer Wayne LaVerry, you go on youtube.com/@NinersRadio49. So we thank you for watching. Reminder, Niners Radio 49 will be on location Sunday at the Gold Rush Tour over in Treasure Island. Niners and Packers. Watch the game on a huge indoor screen. Meet Sourdough Sam, DJ giveaways, foods and drinks, and more. Sunday, November 24th from 12 noon to 5 o'clock. Be at the Gold Bar Distillery, one Avenue of the Psalms, over at Treasure Island in San Francisco. And reminder coming up, 49ers team also, if you got plans to go out to Buffalo for the 49ers invasion, tickets that they will be out there for the 49ers Rush, and also Niners Radio 49 presented by the 2024 49er Gift Guide. Win holidays 30% off of the 2024 Gift Guide. Shop49ers.com. That's shop49ers.com. That's it for now. Professor B signing off, and we will take care, and we'll give you more updates tomorrow, and then we'll be, or that and that. Hope if you're out there at the, come out to the Gold Bar over in Treasure Island. I will talk to you on Sunday for a 49ers pregame and postgame show. So that's it for now. Professor B here at the studios at Satellite Digital Media here at the Candlestick Man Cave. Professor B signing off. Thank you for watching 49ers Live tonight on Niners Radio 49. 49ers Live tonight is a presentation of Niners Radio 49 in association with the Satellite Digital Media News Network. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.